Synesthesia is an unusual link between the senses. What typically happens is one sense, the inducer, triggers another sense, the concurrent. It is a fairly rare phenomenon that affects 4% of the population. It is viewed as overall non-pathological and benign. It is not currently recognized by the DSM-4. It's just a different way of perceiving. I chose this phenomenon because I think it's interesting to see the diversity of human perception. Also, my family and I have experienced this, and I wanted to understand it more. Also, because there are so many variations. The two kinds I would like to focus on, though, are grapheme color synesthesia and chromesthesia, but there are obviously grapheme color synesthesia is when letters and numbers trigger colors, like 2 could be red or C could be light orange. Some people in this group are what's called associators. They know the color of a letter or number in their head. Others are what's called projectors. They see the letters and numbers as color in external space. In grapheme color synesthesia, the colors may change. Luminance of the colors decreases with negative mood. There was a study comparing grapheme synesthetes over 35 with those under 35. The older group experienced less saturated colors. There was also another longitudinal study that showed changes in color. Chromesthesia is sound to color synesthesia, where people see color when hearing music. Associators with chromesthesia see an image in their head when hearing music, and projectors see an image projected into real space. There are also differences in the nature of the inducers and in the concurrents in chromesthesia specifically. In chromesthesia, composition style, timbre, tonality, pitch, or tone, composer, certain keys, and different harmonic progressions, and different combinations of these could influence the image that is presented. The concurrent could be presented in many ways, including experience of colors, experience of texture. There may be a genetic component to synesthesia because it's typically grouped in families. There have been accounts of families with synesthesia since the 1800s. In one study of 3 families with multiple generations of sound to color synesthesia, whole exome sequencing was done. They were found to all have rare genetic variants connected to Another potential explanation is the disinhibited feedback hypothesis. Information travels to and from different primary sensory areas and association areas in the brain, such as the parietal lobe or the limbic system. Synesthesia could possibly arise from less inhibition of feedback signals. Another is hyperconnectivity theory. This theory suggests that direct connections exist between areas of the brain that process the inducer and that process the concurrent. In this case, contrary to disinhibited feedback theory, synesthesia is a purely bottom-up process with no higher level processing involved. Synesthesia can also be induced. There was a case study where a 29-year-old man experienced synesthesia after the use of the drug 2CB. He took well over the normal dosage and experienced associations that became stable. Transient synesthesia experiences are common with this kind of drug. People who do not experience synesthesia still have some normal prosmodal associations. Higher pitches are associated with a physically higher plane. They are also viewed as smaller. Lower pitches are associated with lower planes and are typically viewed as larger. Non-synesthetic people also have similar associations with genre and colors. There are many things associated with synesthesia. People with multiple forms of synesthesia show more divergent creativity. There are also a higher percentage of synesthetes among art students than the general population. There have been several studies showing associations with synesthesia and autism spectrum disorder with savant. Although synesthesia is non-pathological, there are some clinical populations that show elevated percentages of synesthesia, including patients with IBS, visceral hypersensitivity, and the radiological profile associated with MS. There's also an association with anxiety disorder with grapheme synesthetes specifically. Synesthesia is also associated with many benefits rather than just clinical issues, one of which is high creativity mentioned before. Synesthesia is also associated with particularly good memory. Synesthetes also have higher processing speed. They have better visual search and do better on the embedded figures test. Synesthetes also have. My nonprofit organization is the American Synesthesia Association. Their mission is basically to educate people on and advance the knowledge of the phenomena. They also encourage and provide means for researchers and synesthetes to come in contact with each other. They host 12 major conferences a year at universities. And this is my reference list for pictures. And this is my references for the information. Thank you so much for listening.